Today, Wahoo is releasing two new products. The Wahoo Kicker Roller, which is a new type of smart trainer, and I posted a separate video about it. I'll link it up here. And this, the all-new Wahoo PowrLink Zero Speedplay power meter pedals. Now, Wahoo actually announced these Speedplay compatible PowrLink Zero pedals all the way back in March. But, you know, one thing that we've been learning about since March is a worldwide pandemic and, you know, general global staff shortages can really do a number on manufacturing as well as worldwide shipping. But today they are shipping. And, you know, from what I've seen, a lot of athletes really do prefer these Speedplay style pedals because, well, you can kind of clip into them on either side. They're very adjustable. I've noticed that a lot of triathletes in particular use them, which, you know, could have something to do with the fact that Speedplay are a little bit lighter weight. They're very aerodynamic. They're also, you know, very highly adjustable. And the Q factor on these pedals is about 55 millimeters, and the stack height is 13 millimeters. They are very lightweight. These pedals only weigh 250 grams for the set if you're using the single-sided power meter option, or 276 grams for the dual-sided option. I'm showing the dual-sided power meter option here, so power on the left and right throughout this entire video. But the single-sided option looks very similar to this. It's just missing that circular section on the right pedal. And quick note on weight, you know, if you're really into bike weight, you know, I usually tell people to compare the entire cleat and pedal system when looking at these. The standard tension cleat that comes with these pedals weighs about 142 grams. So, you know, for example, the Garmin Rally pedals weigh in at 331 grams, but the cleats themselves are a little bit lighter. So you get a total of like 406 grams with the cleats and the bolts and all of the attachment pieces that you actually need for the cycling shoes. Just kind of like for reference that you guys, you know, should be comparing kind of the entire system, not just the pedal weights when you're looking at, you know, weights for these things. So lighter, and, you know, again, the single-sided power meter option saves a little weight, but it also saves money. The single-sided version comes in at $650, and while the left and right dual power meter pedals cost $1,000. And the single-sided power meters, they typically just double the power from your left, giving you a value for total power, and they really do tend to work pretty well for most people. Yeah, for me, for example, you know, over the course of a ride, my left-right balance is typically like 51-49, or, you know, plus or minus 2%, something like that, not too far off. I think where you'll potentially see more drastic differences is in sprints, or maybe if you're like recovering from some sort of like single-sided injury or something like that. Maybe you were mountain biking when you shouldn't have and you crashed, like some people we know. The power meter will work with, you know, any cycling head unit or bike computer that accepts power. It transmits data, you know, over Bluetooth and ANT+. I was able to connect these power meters to two Wahoo units, a Hammerhead Karoo, a couple of Garmin computers, two Brighton bike computers, as well as my iPhone and an iPad via, you know, the Bluetooth option. And these pedals will transmit both power as well as cadence information to those head units. And, you know, if you do have the dual-sided power meter pedals, the left and right power, all of the left-right power balance information will also be transmitted. I asked Wahoo, and they don't have any specific plans to support any sort of other advanced pedal dynamics at this time. The pedals do work with oval chain rings. Again, something I wasn't able to test. I just don't personally have oval chain rings. Definitely something I've always been curious about. Just don't have them to test with these at this time. But the PowrLink pedals are able to, you know, auto calibrate as you're riding. Typically, you'll see that happen when you kind of stop at at some sort of stop sign or stoplight or something in that kind of 15 to 30 seconds to give them a chance to calibrate. But you can always manually calibrate these pedals by either going to Wahoo's app, that's that Wahoo Fitness app. I know that they have a couple of different apps there on your smartphone, or from your cycling computer, which is kind of how I'm guessing that most of you guys will go about doing it. I would suggest calibrating the power meters, anytime that you're doing some sort of key workout, or anytime that you're switching the pedals between bikes. And switching or installing, I found like super simple. It's just an 8mm Allen wrench. Suggested torque is 30 Newton meters. And there's a tiny little L and an R symbol on the kind of 12 o'clock position on the pedal thread area. But I would say it's much easier to use the Wahoo logo to tell which one is the left and which one is the right. So if you're looking down at the pedals, you're looking down at the pedals and the logo is upside down. They're on the wrong side. You should be able to read the logo pretty clearly when you look down at the pedals. When you are purchasing the PowrLink Zeros, it does come with the standard tension cleat for your shoes, but the pedals are compatible with other Speedplay cleats like the Speedplay Zero or the ultralight cleat options. I'll leave a link in the description of this video to a PDF that just talks about older legacy Speedplay cleats and different compatibility options. Also in the box, you've got some optional spacers. You've got product information, quick start guide, and you have these little kind of clip-in charging connectors. And I think it's kind of interesting. It kind of reminds me of how you charge your Favero Asiamo pedals, if you guys are familiar with those. But it's a USB cable, and it kind of splits into two USB-C cables, and then the USB-C cables connect to these little clip pieces that can kind of actually snap onto the power meter themselves. The cable's pretty long. I would say it's about 6.5, 7 feet, something like that. So it could be something where, you keep this close enough to your bike, depending on where you keep your bike. Maybe you park your bike next to an outlet, in which case no problem. Otherwise, I've just been using like a power bank and kind of plugging in that way and then just kind of charging up whenever I feel like charging up. But each pedal should get you about 75 hours of riding when it's fully charged. I personally think that's pretty good, pretty impressive for the size of this device. The pedals have 4 little LEDs around here, and they'll blink either slow blue, which means it's awake and it's actually searching, and then it'll do this kind of fast blue flash, and that means it's actually connecting. And then once connected, it's a solid blue light for just a little bit. Now the green flash means it's charging. A solid green light means it's fully charged, but of course, that's gonna turn off after 5 seconds. So if you do leave your pedals charging and you come back to them and they're not lit up, it probably means that they're good to go. However, if you see red flashing when you're out riding or something like that, and it lights up 3 times quickly, that's the low battery warning. Now, I'm sure a lot of you guys are thinking like, oh man, I'm gonna be kind of like the life of the party, like my feet and my pedals are gonna be flashing in multiple colors and lighting up all kinds of different ways, and I'm definitely gonna take these to my favorite disco dance club. Sadly, these LEDs will turn off after about 30 seconds to conserve battery life. Maybe you guys can find some other way to have like the brightest flashers on your local group ride. I don't know. Now, Wahoo has actually been developing these pedals for a really long time. They've been beta testing them for like 2 years, and they've been getting really good results as far as power accuracy goes. They mentioned that they really haven't changed the algorithm for a very long time, and Wahoo is claiming a power accuracy of plus or minus 1% with these pedals. which, you know, I kind of feel like that's industry standard. Currently, you know, Garmin Rally pedals are plus or minus 1%. Favero Asiamo pedals also plus or minus 1%. Me personally, you know, I've done a few rides with these pedals, both indoor rides and outdoor rides. You know, I can push some pretty heavy watts, you know, on a good day, like we're talking triple digits. But I did recently have a spill on the mountain bike, and, you know, I've been struggling a little bit, you know, even struggling to walk. So I did recruit a couple of friends just to kind of like spin these pedals up a few times just to throw some more watts at these, as well as kind of compare the data to a few just different power meter brands that are out there. So big thanks to Lance Hepler and David Goodman for, you know, helping me out with this review. Here is Lance on my bike on the indoor trainer, and you can tell here that, you know, we're comparing my cork in purple to the PowrLink Zero pedals in dark red. Zoomed out, the data looks pretty good across the board, but for, you know, some reason, I have had a few dropouts with the cork here. Lucky for us, it was the cork and not the PowrLinks, but when we zoom in on some of these sprints, you can actually see that the cork tends to report a bit more power than the PowrLink Zeros. Which one is correct? You know, I don't know for sure, but I've always thought that my cork has always been, you know, very generous with the watts, and I would say that's definitely just how I like it. I will take all the help that I can get, but ultimately, you know, I do think that the Wahoo PowrLink Zeros are providing good, accurate power data, you know, if they're properly calibrated and they're connected and communicating correctly. But at $1,000, it is a very expensive product for a dual-sided power meter. Comparing it to other power meters on the market, it's $100 less than the Garmin Rally pedals. So is it reasonable? You know, I think so. I think it's a reasonable price point for this particular product. I actually thought that the price, you know, it might be significantly higher, just considering the fact that, you know, if you do prefer Speedplay pedals and you want power meter pedals, you know, this is it. This is your only option. You know, still, you know, if you do want, you know, a more affordable power meter option, they're good alternatives. The Favero Asiamo pedal is something like $650 for dual-sided power. You could also go with something like Stage's power meter, which, you know, you could do like the crank arm only, left crank arm only, and that way that would work with Speedplay pedal options if you're really into that kind of pedal system. But my question for you guys, is this a product that you've been waiting for since March, since they announced it? Is it something that you're really excited about? You know, I would be very curious to hear what you guys think about these. But, you know, as always, be sure to get out there, swim, bike, run, rinse, and then repeat it all over again. And we will see you guys on the next one.